That
It's
could be
possible.
something. Imagine that being stuck in a zoo. It's like a
Cocaine Zoo.
Jurassic Park kind of situation, Cocaine Zoo. That actually would probably be the way to go, in all honesty. Because then you have everything. You have gorilla, you have hippo, you have
That's a straight up horror film.
turtles, as well as the bear. Yeah, it could be really, really bad. Like in a good way though. Like you know what I mean? Like terrifying. Like you're stuck in there. Like they won't risk opening the gates for you to get out. So you're screwed. So it's like a group of people. It's truly like Jurassic Park on cocaine. Hey everyone, welcome to Why Are You Still Here? You know why we're here. It's the show that we talk about. Really, the tagline is whatever we want, but horror movies,
Yep.
slasher movies, Scream 6, perhaps. Hmm? Hmm?
Spoilers. So if you haven't seen the movie, get out of here right now.
Yeah, we have
We're
a
not. We
non-spoiler
don't support
video.
that.
You go check that
So go
out.
check that out. If you
Um,
haven't seen the movie, this video is not for you.
it's not for you.
What? Not for you.
Uh, yes. Anyway, so it is the spoiler review, and because of that, I'm not going to run through the director, writer, cast list, any of that again. We can talk about the synopsis really quickly, just to sort of get ourselves on the same page. But also, I will mention Dermot Mulroney because I did not mention him in the previous video, and I know that because I'm currently editing the previous video. And I was like, I don't remember stumbling over his name, and I'm like, that's why, because I never said it. So now he
Yes,
got
good
his
old
shout out.
Detective Wayne Bailey.
That was a good one. Yeah. I don't think I'd ever remember that, but yes. So we're going to split this up in a way that is going to be, we're going to talk about our group of positives for the movie. Some of them I had to try really hard, let's be honest. And there's definitely less of those than negatives, but then we'll go
Yep.
into negatives and then we'll close out the video. You know, I kind of like to do it the opposite way, just so we leave people on a happy note. But what's the fun
Will
in
be too
that?
negative.
What's the fun in that? Uh, and maybe we'll leave a bad taste in people's mouths too early, and then they'll leave and never come back. So
And I don't want
so
anybody to not see the movie. Even if someone told me it
well,
sucked,
hopefully
I'm still
they've
going to
seen
see it
it.
anyway.
If they're watching this video, hopefully they've
Oh yeah,
seen
what
it.
am I saying? Yeah, you've seen it already.
Anyway, so to reiterate one last time, this is the spoiler review. We haven't said anything spoilery yet. But it's coming. It's coming. So synopsis of the movie, basically, the core four. Here we go. Spoiler starting, baby. They call themselves the core four. Well, they don't call themselves that. Chad calls themselves that. And it's the four survivors from the previous movie, the group of kids. Chad, Mindy, Sam, and Tara. And they have moved to New York City. Some of them are attending college, some of them aren't. I think all of them except Sam.
Yep.
And yeah, and so it's a new setting. It's no longer Woodsboro, which we've left Woodsboro before for Scream 3 and Scream 2. But yeah, that's basically it. And then Ghostface strikes, right? So actually, something that I did not have in my positives, but I know it was a positive for you. Let's briefly talk about the opening of the movie.
I fucking love. Okay, at first I hated it. The
Okay.
split second it happened because I thought to myself, if they're gonna do the whole meta thing and subvert the audience's expectations so hard that we're gonna follow Ghostface from the beginning and then see how he is throughout like the murders, I thought
Sure.
they were gonna take that route, and I'm like, that is so fucking far removed from the formula that I can't take this. And
Yeah.
when I found out that, and his name was Jason, the Flash character, which I thought was funny, nice nod to Jason as he's watching Jason Takes Manhattan.
Yes, he was.
So that was funny. And I really liked the intro. I thought it was so different. I thought it was great.
Yep.
And Ghostface made one hell of an intro. It was very, very creepy. I love the warmer, colder thing, and I thought, is he gonna pull a Kato from the Pink Panther and pop out of the fucking fridge? Is it gonna be like a little Ghostface this time? And then when it was just the the butcher body parts, I'm like, holy shit! Of the other Ghostface killer, like this is badass. That's fucking cool. So I thought that I grew to like the intro a lot, and I do have a soft spot for attractive females with Australian accents. As you know, my series is Australian. So it was very nice.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
To see
Yeah,
Samara
Samara
Weaving.
Weaving. It was awesome to see her. She was the absolute standout of Ready or Not. And it was cool to see her back. Some people have mentioned that they were disappointed that they didn't use her more in that opening and more of a chase scene, because we know that she's a badass and she can absolutely play a badass on screen just like she did in that movie. So she could have given Ghostface a bit of a run for his money, but nobody's really faulted for that.
Yeah. And then the other two things I did want to say about the intro that what made me really like it was, and I don't know if you thought about this, but you know what I thought of? The Scream Killers, the two kids.
Oh,
it
yeah.
made me think of that
Little
when he's
bit,
like, well, how was it? And I kind of thought about that.
Yeah.
And even though that wasn't, actually Greg, who was the other Ghostface killer, that was Jason's accomplice. That's the name.
Right.
And the last thing about it was, and I mentioned this to you in the theater when we were waiting for that fucking stupid post-credit sequence. We'll talk about that. When I said I was really glad that they had the 25th collector's anniversary in the closet with the other Ghostface mask, and I was happy that they had the Pride mask in there, because at least these are things that you can still obtain, and with the collector aspect of the Ghostface, which is cool because these are things that that we have, that we collect. So it was nice to see the consumer thing again in there, because that's what made the vintage Ghostface masks of Scream 1 through 4 worth so much money, because you could get all these at the store. You could get the exact same thing. So that was nice to see. I like that. Almost like a nod to us. So that was cool.
Yeah, that's
bravo.
Cool. I don't have a whole lot to say about the opening, so we'll just move on to the next one, because we're being positive at the moment.
See, and that's the thing, guys. Like, even though I'm gonna crap on the movie just as much as him, like, we enjoyed different things out of it. Like, that's what makes the Scream world go round.
Indeed. Something that we both agree on, though, Lucas texted me last night, and after we recorded our non-spoiler, and he was like, oh, I should have mentioned Melissa Barrera's her performance in the movie. And I was like, absolutely. She was phenomenal.
I think she was better than Jenna Ortega. Like, she just took a backseat almost.
Yeah.
Like, Sam was a badass in this movie. She's great.
She was. And it was weird because some people have this weird like hatred of her from Scream 5 that I've never understood. I've always liked the character. But yes, Melissa Barrera was definitely 100%. The standout of the two, and really good.
Yeah, she's good at the drama, the action parts, the comedy parts. Well-rounded. Pretty good.
Yeah, she's really great. Second act was good. Obviously, we'll talk about the first act and the third act in a little bit here, but the second act was very good. The word I wrote down was chaos. I wrote that down as we were watching the movie, and it really hit me during the apartment scene, which is, of course, a very cool part, getting from one apartment to the next with the ladder.
Yeah, it was very thrilling. And I mean, all the suspense everybody's talking about is all in the second act, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, the part of the movie that people love so much that made them say it's the best movie since the first one, or maybe it's even the best one. It's all just in that second act. But whatever. But yeah, and it's so chaotic, the way the camera was moving around, and people are stabbed, and Ghostface is trying to get into the room. They're trying to get out of the room. The ladder's coming across, all of it. It was just like somebody's crawling across the ladder. Ghostface is almost into the room as he's kicking the door open, all that kind of stuff. Awesome. Loved it. Fantastic. even the beginning of the scene where Ghostface is in the room with Quinn, and just the way he's like looking at, you know, cute boy across the hall or whatever they
Yeah.
across the street, Josh Segura, and he's just like, you know, like just looking at him, like obviously that got a chuckle from everybody in the theater. So that was all cool. And just, you know, Ghostface grabbing the ladder and shaking and all that kind of stuff. It was perfect. I couldn't have asked for um uh that to be any better, honestly.
I mean, even
People
down
have,
to Annika, whatever her name is, like the actual death, she just her head implodes on the side of the dumpster and just falls
yeah,
down. Very good, all good stuff.
yeah, it was good. Yes, absolutely. And that showed really the stakes as well, because you're up there on the ladder and you could tell it's high, but you're like, could
You
you
don't know how
survive
high
that
it is until
fall?
you're up there.
Maybe. Exactly.
Like at work,
Exactly.
for example, you know, the little ladder. One time it was open
Yes.
and me and Jake and Mario climbed up there, and you
Yes.
don't know how, like, it doesn't look like it's that high. When
Yeah,
you
yeah,
get up
yeah.
there, you're like, oh fuck.
Oh
With my
yeah.
greasy work shoes, this is probably not the
Yeah.
best
And then
idea.
all of a sudden it's like windier. Yeah,
Yep.
it's weird. That is a good example because the height of the building we work in is probably the height of where they were. And you look at that and you're like, that's not that bad. And you're like, oh yeah. Yeah, it's
Yeah, not
pretty
cool.
bad. Don't like that. But
Especially
yeah,
with Ghostface chasing after you when the stakes are actually there.
for sure. Yeah, 100%. I kept thinking he was just gonna push the ladder. You know, he's gonna push it or
Well, I
pull
like the
it.
torment aspect
And
of it.
so, no, that was
I
good,
like
but
that.
I kept thinking it was going to fall down and then they were going to be able to hold on to the ladder and then maybe the rungs were going to start snapping. But yeah, tormenting is fine. So yeah, it's chaos like that. I did not come up with this. Somebody smarter than me did, but they said it was very much like the Scream 2 car scene. Obviously, the scene that I would cite as the best scene of the entire series. You know, the most tense and most fantastic scene of the
I
entire
texted
series.
you about that last year, about how great that scene was.
And we
upon a
talked about it
rewatch.
in our ranking as well.
Mhm.
But yeah, so got that covered. That entire scene was my absolute, that was my second favorite scene of the movie. My favorite scene was something, actually, it was just very small and quaint, and it was actually in the third act. Ironically, we shit on the third act so much, but my favorite scene was in the third act, and it was not an exciting moment. It was just a cool moment, a Kirby moment. And it was when Kirby sat down next to Mindy and they were
I know what
going
you're- yeah.
over, you know, horror movie trivia. That was my favorite moment of the movie. How about you? You have a favorite moment that sticks out to you in the movie?
That's a really good question. I almost wasn't even prepared for it because I've just been dogging on the movie so hard. I love the Ghostface killers at the beginning when he gets punked and he kills his buddy in the fridge and fucking just mutilates him. I love that.
Okay.
It was just so different. I love that, but I'm trying to think of what my other favorite part might be. One of the killings, but I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm gonna go see the movie again. Ask me again when we do our ranking.
I will try to remember that. This might be it because this is my third favorite scene that I'll talk about. The Gale scene. So that entire scene surrounding Gale in her apartment, getting the phone call, and what transpires from there, right? I thought it was really funny too. Like, Gale's a badass. She's always been a badass. And when Ghostface makes the remark to her, like, you're working out didn't help your boyfriend, you know, something like that. And she like looks at him and goes, sure didn't. Like, just so casually, like she doesn't care, like she expected this to happen at some point anyway. That was funny, and it was so cool. I mean, it was like they started that whole kind of thing in the last movie with Sydney walking around Stu Macher's house, and you know, the way that she was clearing the rooms and stuff, you know, like you're like, this is like a different kind of hero, and a smart hero, so to speak. Like, they're not making those stupid decisions anymore, they're being really smart. And that just carried on with Gale and every choice she made in this. And I'm happy she didn't die. Though I wish we got to see her at the end rather than just the throwaway line. So we're gonna jump into negatives. Do you have anything positive else to say? Any other?
As critical as I am toward the story, the writing, and the inaccuracies of the masks, I mean, I can't deny that it's an entertaining movie. I wasn't bored watching it at all, to tell you the truth. I mean,
Okay.
it's a good slasher movie. It's very, very entertaining. It's just that when you have 1, 2, 4, and 5, and how much 3's still good, but with how much I love the other 4, it's just,
Mhm.
by comparison, it's not a great Scream movie, but it's a
Yes.
very good horror movie. Like, if this was the start of its own franchise, I would be all over this movie's nuts. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's just, it's different. So,
I mean, I was certainly bored in the first act.
Okay. So when we get to the negatives, I guess we're going to talk about the horrible romantic drama that was put in there. But yeah, the romantic drama killed the first act, because that's all it was. It was that awesome, strong opening, and then you get nothing.
Yep.
So,
Exactly.
and then, by the way, we had libraries, we had classes in Scream 2. I fucking forgot they were in college in this movie.
Yeah. Exactly. Especially because they were trying to model themselves so strongly off of Scream 2. And it's
Yeah, you
like,
forgot that part.
being that this is Scream 2 is my favorite, I'm gonna be
Very-
hyper vigilant about all this kind of stuff. I heard the Omega Beta Zeta in there. I looked at you. You did not look back. There was a whole scene, obviously, with Sarah Michelle Gellar. Omega Beta Zeta.
Omega Beta Zeta.
She
And
gets
they
thrown off the
mention it.
balcony, right?
She does
Or
indeed.
the roof, whatever. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it was the balcony. Yeah, so I heard them mention that in there and I was like, sure. But yeah. So my first note on here for the negatives really is that I've heard some people say different. For me, Nev Campbell was missed in this movie.
I didn't think so from the trailer, but I mean, even if, with the voice AI technology I'm able to do on my computer, tell me, and what Disney's able to do, you have likeness to Sydney Campbell, right? You can do something. You can do a
They
fake...
would have to pay her.
Oh, would they?
She
All right,
would
well,
not.
then how about
Out
this?
of principle, she wouldn't
How about
accept.
how about a text that Gale sends Sydney, and then she's like, I'm smart
maybe.
enough, not to respond, but just know that I'm strong enough to take care of myself, and you do the same, Gale. We'll find each other when this is all
That
over.
would be
I don't know,
better.
just something.
Yeah. It just felt like such a weird throwaway line when Gail is just like, I spoke to Sydney. Oh, she's not coming, is she? No, her and Mark are taking the kids and they're going into hiding.
Ghostface is in New York. We gotta go into hiding.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
Yeah.
that flies in the face of everything she said in the last movie, but okay.
He killed your friend, he killed ours, and I have kids, which means I won't sleep until he's in the ground.
Liar!
You know, I wasn't expecting there was going to be some great, reveal, but it's disappointing because it's like, what could we have had? The writers and the directors, I believe, they came forward months ago and said that Sidney Prescott was the main character of this movie. The whole movie was going to revolve
Maybe
around
that's why
Sydney.
it's a shit show. Maybe the rewrites just cause all the chaos.
Maybe. Because they had to scramble. They had to rewrite the entire thing when Nev Campbell wouldn't come back. And for those that don't know why she didn't come back, it was a money dispute. They wanted to pay her. Nobody knows exactly, but supposedly they wanted to pay her less than what she made for Scream 5.
Horrible.
So yes, so she was going to be the star of this movie, while she was really just an extended cameo in the last
100%.
movie. And they want to pay her less. That's not on the director, so don't be angry at them.
Yeah.
It's on the studio. It's on Paramount. I'm sure if the directors had their way, they would have worked it out. But they seem like nice guys. Yeah. So okay. So yes, Nev Campbell was missed. I wish she was in it. And then here's the big one. This is the big one, and that's the mask issue.
And here we go.
And this is the one where people are gonna roll their eyes if they're not heavily.
So before we get into the
Scream.
details about this, like I was saying pre-recording, that when you're as eagle-eyed and fangirl as we are, you tend to look for so many things that you look past a lot of other things, right? Every time they close up on Ghostface, I was looking at the tie, I'm looking for the way the Velcro was. I'm looking for the gloves. I'm trying to look for so much in that one little shot that it would take it away from me, which, as shitty as the masks are, the robes all look pretty good. I'll give them that.
Yeah, the robes were for the most part fine. People talked about how Billy and Stu's robes are the triangular cut at the bottom, and every other one is the rectangular cut. And yes, they did a pretty good job. Roman's opens all the way down to the bottom.
You can even kind of see it like open. You see the bullet holes in it. So like, yeah, that's fine. That was actually Nate Reagan's robe.
Yeah, it probably was. So they did a good job with that, and it just makes me think like maybe if they were given the chance to go and source the correct masks to use. And for people that don't know, without making you leave this video because it just got too convoluted, the mask that was used in the first movie is called a Gen 1. It's a very specific looking mask. It was produced in like 1993 roughly. It looks nothing like modern Ghostface masks at all. It was called the Weeping Ghost at the time, and made by Fun World. And then the second movie, it was called a Gen 2, very similar, but about half an inch longer, made out of a slightly different material, so on and so forth. And then from Scream 3, it gets easy now. Scream 3 onwards, it became the EU mask, the Easter Unlimited mask. It's just that standard Ghostface mask that as Ghostface, right? And there was,
but not the shiny, plasticky, ultra white that you're gonna buy in stores now.
No, that is correct. It'd be like what you had when you were a kid. If you remember having a Ghostface mask when you were a kid, chances are it was the Easter Unlimited mask, unless you're a little bit older, and it might have been a Gen 2. But there were some changes, like there was an ultra white that was used from a TD stamp mold that was used for Scream 4. Look like that. look like that.
Hold on, I have it
and
right
Lucas
here,
has an
actually.
example. Beautiful, yes.
This one.
So
right
that's what the reshoot mask was. So that's obviously different. And more angular, different material, that kind of thing. But everything else in Scream 4 that's not a close-up, these are, oh my God, put me out of my misery. It's the Easter Unlimited mask. This is what happens when I try to talk too fast. Scream 5, Easter Unlimited mask. Scream 6, guess what? Easter Unlimited mask for every single variant of Ghostface mask in this movie. And that's my problem, right? So it was particularly glaring when they had them all up on the board, all the pictures up on the board.
That's when I noticed it the hardest,
mask.
because I'm not even listening to what Kirby is saying. I'm not.
I wasn't either.
Anything.
Yes.
And I'm trying to think, like, if there's two killers, there's two masks. They're not sharing the same one, right? So why is there only one mask per? For Romans, I get that, but they show Richie and Amber, they just have Richie's mask. And obviously it's because of the family connection there, but it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And I'm just looking at all of them, and maybe there was a bit like in the molding where like the chin might be slightly shaped differently, but they were all the same mask. You know what I mean? And
oh yeah, oh my God, yeah, they were all the same mask, like not the exact same mask. I mean, they just photoshopped them, but the same, from the same mold. They're all from the same mold. The same thing as like the the China bootleg mask. It's all the same mold, and they're very.
Here's the China bootleg. This is
Yes. So
what
that's
they basically look like.
and that's exactly what Billy's mask looks like in the movie. The rotted mask. It's just that with rotting on it. And if you know about your mask, that looks nothing like a Gen 1.
And so
And
last year
maybe-
I knew nothing about this. And only within the last like 6 months have I actually been able to spot the differences. And yeah, it's insane.
It is insane. When you know what you're looking for, it is insane. It sounds stupid otherwise.
I don't even want to hear the excuse of like we couldn't source one to look at. Maybe you could just look at a picture and have your design team just create something that's going to be
Yeah.
a good replica. Come on, don't tell me you can't.
That's the
Don't tell
thing
me you
is
can't.
I wish that we had transparency from them, because if the issue was Fun World not allowing them to do it, that's one thing. You can't do anything about that. Fun World is the final say in all of this. If the directors contacted them or whoever's responsible for that task and said, we want to get a mask that's similar to Billy's mask, and they go, so we don't make Gen 1s anymore, but we'll send you an EU mask and do with it what you will. If that's the case and they absolutely, their hands were tied, then I understand why they did it, but just let us know, like, so we stop dogging on you about it. You know what I mean? Like, just let us
Yep.
know that that's the option, because there's some people out there in the community that claim that Fun World was completely unwilling to make a mask that has more of the features of the older masks for this movie, or even allow the special effects artists of this movie to make a mask that look like the older masks as well. So it's like,
Yes.
it felt like my intelligence was being insulted, basically. And so it's just like, come on. And in conclusion to that, they make a whole big point at the end, like, look at this mask. This is Mrs. Loomis's mask. And I was like,
Which we have right here, everybody.
that's the most
Mrs.
different
Loomis
looking
has-
mask.
And it's funny because not only does Mrs. Loomis have she like one kill in the movie, right? Everything else
One
is Mickey,
kill,
right?
Randy.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's so funny because she wears one mask, and not only does she kill one person, but the mask she wears in the community is known as an RDS, the
Yep.
Randy death scene mask.
Yeah.
So when they show Mrs. Loomis's blazer and they throw that standard EU on there, me and Brandon just look at each other and we're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And then this is, so I'll just put up the bootleg one because that's the one I have.
Yeah. Perfect.
Look at the eyes. Look at
Yep.
the shape of the
Eyes,
mouth.
the
look
nose,
at
the mouth.
the forehead, and then you look at this, and you're gonna tell me that these are the same.
Correct. And people might say, well, it's only the eye shape that's different. It's
no,
not.
no.
Pause the video right here. Take a good look. The two masks that Lucas is holding right now, those aren't flukes. That's how every single one looks. They all have those same eye shapes, meaning every RDS looks like that. Every EU looks like that. You know what I mean? So it's just like,
And like the RDS, once you know
You
what you're
learn to
looking
notice this
for
kinda
and you look
stuff.
at the lineup, you point that out right away. And
yeah,
it all has to do again with the eyes and the way they're shaped because they're
Yeah.
completely different.
and you can see it specifically in the movie. And you might say, Brandon, you didn't mention the RDS. I specifically didn't, so we could bring it up at the end of the mask section here. But yeah, it Scream 2, they, for that one scene, don't exactly know the reason why, but they used a different mask in that one scene. It was being produced at the same time as the Gen 2, so yeah, I like it though. It's like a
love
movie
that mask,
mistake
yeah.
that I like. So, that kind of stuff adds charm to a movie. And he specifically, there's that moment where he like looks and you see it in the rear view mirror. I
Yep.
said he, technically she. Even though it's really just Dane Farwell looks in the in the rear view mirror and you see it. Yeah, so done with the mask stuff. I apologize about that. I'm probably gonna have to edit that for the people watching, edit it down a little bit because it probably did go on a little bit too long. But it seems like Gail regressed as a character. Did you notice that?
Well,
she
yeah,
seems
they
like
they
she's
took
really
all the growth
grown.
from 2 onwards and then just brought it down to make sense with the. Well, no, it's not a requel; it's a franchise now. So now we just have to have it. We have to have her writing a fucking book again that
Yeah,
trashes
even though she
somebody
promised
again
she wasn't going
out of
to.
context, out of again.
At least I know what I'm going to write about.
What's that?
Not this.
just to get punched in the fucking face again.
I
And I'm
know.
like,
I
scary
know.
movie, anybody? Because that's
I
that's the
know.
territory we're at here.
It seems like in her scene, again, one of the best scenes of the movie with Ghostface, she has grown in that scene. But before that, it's like she seems like a total bitch when
Fan
Jet
service in a
and
bad
the
way. And I think that's
punching in the
ultimately one of the
face.
problems of
It
this
was like
movie.
it was funny that she dodged the first one, but why is she even getting punched in the face to begin with in this day and age? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Not a big deal, but something I thought of. So we mentioned the first act being boring. It was like a love story that
And here's the thing,
Lucas
because
said.
that's what Lucas would say is that I love romance and
That's
romantic
true, he does.
drama romance in my movies. I really do. And when it's that bad, and I've watched some bad ones that I've said were good,
Yeah.
you have a problem. Anyway, I just wanted to have I
It
just want to have that on the
drags.
record.
You really felt
Well, especially at
that
the end too,
2-hour runtime.
when they recreate the scene with Gail and Dewey, but with Tara and Chad in the ambulance on the stretcher in the same fucking shot, basically. I'm like, can you
Yeah.
guys get any cheesier than this?
God. I know.
And then it's like he fucking just got stabbed like 57 times,
I
and you're gonna take his
know.
oxygen mask off to kiss him. Put that shit back on and let him
Yeah,
survive, you
he
stupid
needs
bitch.
that. Imagine if he died right there, like so, and they can't resuscitate him, like just because she had to kiss him, he's dead now.
That would be
Yeah,
fucking
I know.
funny.
It's they again. Somebody smarter than me said this, but I agree with it.
I think
That
I'm
it's
sorry,
like they're
continue.
afraid to kill one of these 4 people,
Oh,
and it's like you
100%.
don't
And
have to
it's
be afraid to do that.
even down to like Mindy when she just goes, she gets stabbed for like the gazillionth time and goes, fuck this franchise. I got the killer wrong again. I'm like, you're about to die and you're saying this. Come
Yeah,
on. Like you gotta
it
alleviate some of the meta.
the very next time we see her, she's running around on the
Oh, I know.
street.
Well, Annika, her girlfriend, maybe it's something that runs in their attractiveness, but like she got her shit massacred in her belly too, and she's climbing on the ladder last, like nothing's happening. I'm like, what's going on? So yeah, it's
Imagine if
like
she showed up at the end and she's like, "Hey guys, I'm fine too." You know, like her half her face is screwed.
right. It's like I told Brandon yesterday. It's like what Jill says to Sydney. Are you Michael fucking Myers? Why won't you die? And
Yeah.
I'm like,
yeah.
why won't you fucking die?
Why won't you die?
So goofy to me. Like, is this a spoof? Is everybody in on it where they're gonna finally expose it like a week from now where they go, just kidding. We don't like
Wouldn't
it.
that
You
be
know what I
funny
mean?
if at
The-
the end of the reveal they're like, there's like a whole film crew and it's like this was Stab 9. It's not even Scream.
Yeah, that would have been interesting. Because it's like you have these 3 ghost faces. You have an old crusty man and 2 kids that are all sitting there with their like rotted masks. And it's just like this is so goofy. Like this is so stupid. Like I had an out of body experience where I'm like, what am I watching? What
I
is
know
this?
people criticize the reveal of Jill and Charlie, which of course you guys know I love Scream 4, but like criticize their reveal for them not looking
That wasn't as
intimidating,
goofy
but
as this.
because every menacing scene had to have been Dermot, what's his last name?
Mulroney, yeah.
There you go.
The doozy of a
I
name.
don't know, man.
And I like
just,
him.
and it's
You know, I think he's a good actor. He I always have a special place in my heart for people that guest starred on Friends, and he guest starred on Friends for a few episodes.
very good.
So I like him. He's Gavin, you know, and he always will be Gavin to me. And he's good. He's good in the movie until the end. And I don't know if it was his choice or not, but he's just so like he's so over the top, so goofy. It's just like I don't know.
Yeah, it was just the motivation of him as a disgruntled ex-cop whose son that he loved just so happened to be a collector and serial killer, so now he turns to finish it.
Yeah.
That is the Roman that makes Roman look fucking not only smart, but it makes me feel bad for Roman because his motivation actually makes more sense than that with the family bullshit. So
And people insulted
that's
that at the time because it is goofy, but it's not that goofy. You know what I mean?
oh, exactly. So, but that's what I mean when I say like Scream is the movies are bad by comparison because they're really not horrible in the
Right,
grand scheme
right.
of things.
Yeah.
But like the fact that this has made me so like rethink Scream 3, it's insane.
I agree. I know.
And I don't know, whatever.
In that
I'm just
live
thinking-
stream,
I'm just thinking too hard into it. You know what I mean?
I think that's okay though. In the Drum Dums live stream, they talked about how it's good that he keeps that dead corpse in his back pocket. So he was able to switch it out with Quinn. Like he
Oh,
just
yeah,
has an
right.
entire dead corpse folded up in his back pocket, you know, so he can just willy-nilly just switch it out. Because imagine, I want to see that movie with him driving around with a dead corpse in the back of his car and how he's going to get that up that apartment building in New York City of all places. Like that sounds like an instant classic to me.
Yes.
It's like what's that movie with the dead guy where they're trying to Weekend at Bernie's.
And there you go, it already works.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that's basically the third act is just it's unfortunate.
Oh yeah, I
Um,
also, other than Quinn, because I just, who the fuck saw that one coming? Because she was only for the fact that
Nobody
she's
could
in
have
the
ever
movie for
guessed
like
that.
2 minutes.
Yeah.
But Ethan and Dermot, wow, I just did half and half. Ethan and Detective Bailey, I saw that one coming, and it's funny too. Based off the promotional pictures that they did, I took one look at Detective Bailey. I'm like, that guy just looks fucking weird. I guarantee you he's gonna be one of them because he's older.
Yeah.
They've never done something like that. That
Yeah.
if this Scream movie didn't have 3 killers, only had 2, I fucking guessed both of them. And I've never guessed both the killers in a Scream movie. Like,
Speaking of that, isn't it
Charlie, or not
weird
Charlie,
when they first announced these and they had the picture of
and
them
the
and I
3.
said to
You
you,
called it, yeah.
yeah, I was like, they have 3 of them. That's so weird. I'm like, I wonder if there's 3 ghost faces. And there was. I don't know if they did that on purpose, but it was interesting. The bodega scene was completely spoiled from the trailers.
Well, the trailer spoiled every good part of the movie. Every tense thing was already in the fucking trailer.
The only thing that wasn't in it was Ghostface running away and leaving a mask behind. That was it.
Mhm.
Everything else was in it, and there was
Did
some
they show when they
gore,
knocked
but
over when they knocked over like the middle aisle part onto him? I don't think they showed that in the
I
trailer.
don't think so. But when you're showing like an entire scene and you're going, well, maybe they didn't show the part where they push the one shelf over, you know, like you're like, "Ugh," they spoiled a lot, unfortunately, and everybody saw that trailer because it was
Yeah.
the first official trailer. It's not like it was a final trailer, which you didn't see and I didn't see. So that was a bit unfortunate because that would have been really cool to see for the first time in the movie. You might feel differently about this. I think Kirby was a little disappointing. That's
I think
nothing
she
against
was underutilized. That's
Yep.
that's where the disappointment comes from. It was
Yep.
just like if she was just shoehorned for us. If she
Yep.
wasn't in it, it would have made no fucking difference.
Yep. Yep. It has nothing to do with Hayden Panettiere.
Yeah,
she's
because her
gonna
acting
do-
is so great. She still looks amazing. Just as beautiful to me as she was when I was in high school. We love you, Kirby.
She's like our same age, obviously a little bit closer to my age, but yeah.
Even better.
You've seen the movie Remember the Titans, right?
Oh yeah.
You know that
Like
she's in
years
that.
ago. Is she?
She's a
I've
little
seen it in
girl.
like high school. Siri, if you fucking come up one more time, I swear to God, I'm gonna freak out.
I can't believe it. I wish you went to a school where they played Remember the Titans 27 times a year like I did. Both middle school and high school. Well, not so much high school, but middle school. Because yeah, she's the little girl. She's Hawkins from Halloween, his daughter.
Oh yeah, I didn't know that
little
was her.
firecracker. Yeah.
Very good.
That's the very first movie I ever saw her in. And then she played the cheerleader in the show Heroes, which I never saw, but saved the
I remember that
cheerleader.
show.
That was a tagline for that show.
Never saw it, but I remember that show. Anyway,
Indeed. So yeah, she was underutilized substantially, and they tried like some character assassination towards the end there too, where
I knew that was fucking fake, man. That
well,
was just
you didn't at first. You were just sitting there steaming. Like you could have cooked an egg off of the temperature coming off
Brandon.
of your skin.
Well, it's the initial like,
Yes.
no, there's no way. That's
You literally,
if she
this
does
is
it,
what I
I'm gonna be
saw from my
pissed.
point of view. And I was like, I know. Trust me. And and then you're just like silent. And I'm like, I'm thinking he might have been lying. And you're like, I hope so. Because I'm done with this movie if not. Spoiler alert, we were done with the movie anyway. Didn't even have to do that. But yeah, that was weird, and I was confused about it still after the fact. I was like, oh, I guess he was lying about it, but that didn't even occur to me until after I texted you. It was like, because I'm like, I demand answers for why she was fired from the FBI, and she never answered that question. So that could have been better, but she lives, so we'll see what happens in Scream 7. You already mentioned Ethan. I agree. As soon as I saw him, I was like, yep. And the fact that they kept on saying he was Ghostface so much, it was like they wanted to do like reverse psychology on us. And it's like, that's not going to work, which also reminds me that Mindy's whole scene of talking about franchises was so played out. It was so, I hate to say this, but it was cringy. And I was just like, no.
Yeah, it just came across as try hard.
It did, unfortunately. I think you like this, but Sam putting on the costume I thought was just, I was
So
not into
I
it.
knew she was gonna put the mask on at the bare minimum because I looked over and told you that
You
he
said
was
that, yep.
going to put it on and stab her, and I wish it would have just been the mask and not the robe because that was overkill. Mask I would have been fine with, but the robe was a little too much.
It was all too much, yeah. It was like Sydney in the first movie, but way more because she just kept stabbing and stabbing and stabbing and stabbing. Where the dick was Gail at the end? I know I mentioned that before, but like, was Courtney Cox back to California already? Like was she out of there before they decided that her character was going to live?
Yeah, they were giving her medical needs like
Yeah,
in the helicopter on the way.
yeah. Like, you missed it, and I don't blame you for missing it. But the cute boy from across the street, whatever, he said, Gail and Mindy are going to be okay. They're recovering. And it's like, okay, cool. That's all he said. It was like some weird throwaway line.
And I called Mount Sinai, and Mindy and Gail are gonna be okay.
You know?
Like I literally, like I feel like he said it as I asked you because I'm like, huh? What the
Yeah,
fuck?
no, it was right before you asked me. You would have heard it, but you missed it somehow. But it was quick. And in conclusion, I only have one more, and that is, are we crazy, guys, watching this? Am I crazy? Is Lucas crazy?
It's
Is this movie a masterpiece and we're just missing it?
because we are in such a small minority of people that it is fucking mind-blowing. And
Yeah.
I was questioning my like horror integrity all night and all like day.
I agree. It makes me feel like I'm on Shutter Island. Like, what's going on here?
Because generally we have some pretty top tier horror opinions.
Yes. I've never been in this position before. Like you can't even call this movie really divisive because
it's unanimous.
Like 2080. Yeah. 80-20 or whatever. Yeah, it's almost unanimous that it's not even just liked, it's loved and looked upon as one of the best of the series. And it's like, maybe we're crazy. Maybe I somehow, like, through osmosis, I affected you with my negativity, my inherent negativity. And so then you felt
not
the
only
same
that,
way.
You were a Scream mega fan. You turned me into a Scream mega fan. So now all I like is the Scream movies that I've just been obsessed with now for a year and a couple months, to where a new one comes out, I'm like, I don't even care anymore. Like I'm at that point.
Yeah, that's funny. I know that I'm kind of at that point too. So what do you guys think before my computer dies? And luckily we beat it. So
Before we
knock
lose
on
every
wood.
subscriber that we have and we just get all this hate mail. But
yeah, so yeah, what do you guys think? What did you think about the movie? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Are you indifferent to it? Comment below, let us know. Please don't hate us. If you feel different to us, just let's have a civilized
Good.
conversation down below.
we've always
I'm-
said we hope that you like it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm open to the possibility that I am crazy. So let me know.
Yes.
All right. And thanks for joining us. And we will see you soon.